1984, you're working with Richard Petty. You win at Dover, number 199.
Go to Dover. Todd was working for me, and Todd had been doing tires, and that was one of my strong suits, was matching tires and doing things like that from the days of working with Goodyear and also working with Harry and all that. I was a tire man. They called me the tire man. I was a tire guy. And so that's the way Todd and Brad both got their start, matching tires and air pressures and things. So anyway, that was when they also wasn't bringing enough tires to the racetrack. So I tell everybody the 199th win was done in the pits. Richard drove a hell of a race, but we out-tired them. And one of the reporters wanted to said, "What do you mean out-tired them?" I said, "Well, I could have said out-tarred them, but I said, we had more tires in the pits than Ken Schrader did. And we beat Hendricks that day. A big team, But we had one heck of a pit crew, and we had one hell of a driver. And if you don't believe it, look at his record. And we came out of there, and Ralph Salvino started on me right then. He just couldn't wait. He couldn't wait till the next race. He said, "Oh, we got it now. We got it now. We're going to win 200th win." So the hoopla of what went down at Daytona, which was very special. We had a car that Richard had actually built, in level cross, and it had some things done to it that a guy named Warren Prout figured out, the steering geometry and stuff like that. And I'll always be forever grateful for what I learned from that. Richard used to wave it off a little bit, because he didn't want a lot of people out there to know what was going on with his speedway program. And so, of course, I kept it under wraps. Of course, today is completely different anyway. So, anyway, the engine. We get down there, and so we were qualified. Either it was Saturday afternoon. Well, I'm trying to think when the race was. But anyway, the morning before, or either the day before the morning before the race day, Robert Yates comes over, and he said, "How you doing, buddy?" I said, "Well, I'm doing good, man." I said, "We're getting ready to get this piece ready to go win a race." He said, "Well, I got bad news." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, the gardeners called and told me that they needed the motor out of that car." And I said, "Robert, what are you talking about?" He said, "Well, things hadn't been settled up, either with Pontiac or with somebody didn't uphold their end of the bargain." And so, and Richard denied all that. He said, of course, I never got involved with that because that wasn't my program. My program was to get the team together, get the car on the trailer, and go race it. So I told Robert, I said, "Robert, I want to tell you something, and you know it." I said, "There's not enough people that you can gather up that can come over here and get that motor out of that car. So you just need to go tell them gardeners that if they want the motor, they can get it after the race." And so that's how it all went down about the big motor and it was this and that and whatever. But I used to kid Robert about the big engine. I'd get on telecast or something like you and I are talking. I said, "Yeah," I said, "everybody wonders how we won that 200th win in front of the president and all that." I said, "Big as that motor was, I'd have been embarrassed if we couldn't have won that race." Robert, buddy, don't say that. Don't say that in front of people. I said, "Well, I'm just kidding." He said, "I know, but it goes down, that I did." But Robert Yates was a true friend, and I loved him like a brother, and I miss him a lot. But that motor was not big, and it was a legal deal. Richard Petty, as a driver, Richard Petty won that race with between his two ears, that racing brain he had.
What was it like for you when you saw him come across the finish line?
Well, first of all, I was almost knocked down I had a little short Italian coming at me like a bull in a china closet, and he comes running and he jumps. And not only just hugged me, but he jumped off the ground, and I had to grab him, keep him from falling and breaking his back or something. And it was Ralph Salvino,
who was about as tall as he was around.
Yeah, right. That's the first thing that happened. After that, a lot of things happened. I still have a picture. That afternoon, they had the big 4th of July party in the garage, and of course you're aware of the president was there, and had the fence all blacked out, and had security guards and everybody. Well, Judy and I got to walk down, and we were led in there with Robert and Carolyn, and anyway, we were led in there to meet the president. And the picture I have is of President Reagan looking up. He got up out of his seat, wiped his hands off because he'd been eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, and wiped his hands off and shook my hand. And I have that picture, and matter of fact, my son Tyler, who's in Denver, Colorado, graduated from Elon College, and I let him take that because that was one of his requests to have that in his house. And I think a lot of his buddies went in and saw that, and was because that school does a lot of stuff with political parts and all. But that was a big event. And again, it was a lot of people, and you know how everything is. They wanted to say because the president there, Richard, his 200th win and all that, but it was all about Richard's strategy of how he's going to beat Cale Yarborough at the end of the race. And he might tell you a different story, but the story I know is that when Cale got to him, Cale had a fast car. And Cale, we beat him out of the pits, by the way. We had a better pit stop than they did. And so when Cale got to us, Richard started backing him up. I called Richard on the radio. I said, "You okay?" He said, "I'm fine." I noticed where he's backing up. He said, "Just keep giving me lap times. Keep giving me lap times." And so at the end of the race, he had enough left when no Halvern or, when he flipped or wrecked in the turn, and Richard had enough to gas it up. And then, when Cale came up to him, if Cale had passed us, I don't think we could have ever drafted back by Cale. But back then, that was the slingshot. That wasn't a slide job. That was a slingshot. Okay, and I wish we could see more of that. And if they take some of this downforce away from these cars, we may see the slingshot again.